Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode 3 to be exact, of New Agent Tips. I'm Courtney of Scott Financial and Care. I am a licensed life insurance producer based out of Georgia. I'm licensed in multiple states as well. I am also a mentor to a lot of new life insurance agents as well that's joining into the industry. I guess you could say they're a part of my downline as well. Anyway, this particular episode, we are discussing once you have basically you've gotten your license now, you've gotten your E&O, your errors and omissions, business insurance, you've done all the nitty gritty stuff for yourself as a sole proprietor, or single member LLC, however you want to operate at, whatever you want to operate as, right? So now you're ready to sell. And so if you have your life and health license, or sometimes some states will consider it as a sickness, they'll say sickness. It's the same thing, sickness or health. It's the same type of license. So you have your life, accidental, health, or sickness license. And so now you are able to sell not only life insurance, obviously, but you're able to sell health insurance or healthcare products, right? You're also able to sell accidental insurance. You're able to also sell anything relating to disability or long-term care, or critical illness type of products, and fixed and indexed annuities. Sometimes you'll see, and of course, if you saw it in your studies, you'll see that there was the type of annuities called variable. That requires a different type of license. They call it a series license. And the reason for that is just because you're really taking a risk or an investment into the stock market when you buy those type of products. And so there's no fixed rate to it. There's no type of fixed amount that comes out of it when you have an annuity, a variable annuity product. You might get $500 this month, and then the next month you get $300 or something like that. That's just an example, not actual, figures, right? So besides that, so now you are, like I said, available to sell life and healthcare products, Medicare products, disability, long-term care, accidental, fixed and index annuities. So you can ask yourself, what do I want to focus on more? Where is my niche, so to speak, right? You can just say, well, I do really well in selling life insurance, or I do really well with selling the healthcare side of things or the Medicare side of things, or I like annuities better. I like the numbers of it. I like how it's more financial in that aspect. But you can sell all of it if you don't mind selling all of it. There's not one better than the other. You might make a lot more money with annuities, but you have a lot of that you got to find clients for that. And it's not hard to find any type of clients, right? But the type of clients that are perfect for annuities are people who really don't require immediate payouts. They have the money needed to kind of get started, to deposit for their annuity contract and get started with their annuity. And they know that this money is not to be touched or should not be touched rather, until they get to the point of retirement. Some people get it for the purpose of, like, let's say it's a lottery winner and they don't want all of their money to be paid out to them at once. So maybe they want it to get paid out periodically. So they get an annuity so that they know that this annuity will go for the rest of their life and maybe even beyond, and to their beneficiaries, right? But you might enjoy selling that, and especially being your commissions will be a lot more, possibly a lot more than a life insurance product. I preferably sell just life insurance. I mean, I do have some annuity clients as well, but I mostly sell life insurance. I open up myself to selling either life or annuity products or disability or long-term care products. I don't really deal with the health insurance or Medicare side of things per se. Even though I'm licensed, if I do have the opportunity to sell that, then maybe I will, but I'm not making it a priority of mine. I'm focused more on the life and annuity side of this industry. I enjoy it. Obviously I make decent commissions. I mean, very well commissions, and just starting out with my company and the company that I associate with, your starting commissions is up to 85%. Some carriers are starting commissions is up to 90%. And I'm a non-captive agent, so I basically work with a plethora of carriers. Like I'm more than a dozen carriers, right? And so that brings me to my next point. So my next point is, how many carriers is a good number to start out with? You don't want to overwhelm yourself when you're just starting out. Okay? You don't want to overwhelm yourself when you're just starting out because first of all, you're going to have to briefly learn the type of products each carrier sells, right? Briefly learn what they sell, and also you're going to have to look over their underwriting guidelines. That's very important to do. Any carrier that you appoint with, aka contract with, to sell their products, one of the first things you should do once you have your login information and your writing or producer code, you need to log into their system, their agent portal, and access their underwriting guideline. That underwriting guideline is very important when it comes to your client. You need to make sure that your client is going to be able to meet the impairments. Like maybe there might be certain impairments that are automatically a decline. So you need to check over that carrier's underwriting guideline and see their impairment. What do they consider a decline? Or what is the table rating of that particular health condition? You need to see if certain medications that client is taking, is it considered an automatic decline? Yes, there are some health conditions and medications that health insurance carriers will not approve. Of course, every carrier is different, so you have to check all of the ones that you would like to quote or submit an application for this client. You can check their underwriting guidelines. Every carrier is different. All carriers have an impairment guide. The impairment guide is that health conditions list, right? And they have a medical medications list as well. And they all have what is called a build chart. That build chart is the height and weight in which a client must be within if they are a certain height and weight. And if they are within a certain height and weight, that means that they can be classified as probably preferred or preferred plus or standard or substandard. And of course, they have different ones for male and female because statistics show that women tend to outlive men. So there's different type of height and weight requirements. There's different type of health condition requirements sometimes depending on that carrier with male and female. So you have to check these charts, you have to check these table ratings. It'll tell you, okay, well, if this person is between 5'5" and they're 200 pounds, they will be rated as a standard client. And if they are non-tobacco, non-nicotine, they are rated as a standard client. If they are outside of the maximum weight for their height, then that means it's a decline. And most carriers are not going to waive. And if they do, I mean, that's of course at their discretion, But if they happen to waive their weight, then they might say, well, it's gonna cost they're gonna have to pay extra in premium. Rare case, but that's that's one of the things that they might do. Okay, so when you're starting out, I recommend just starting out with maybe 2 to 3 carriers. That's enough for you to handle. At least then, when you're running a quote for a client, you have 3 different options to choose from. And some of the carriers, they will give you, when you're running a quote on their system, and some of them use the same software. So sometimes you can just go to one central software, and pick all the carriers you want a quote from, and just put in basic information, and it'll tell you, based on the information you submitted, this is how much their premium could be. It's not an exact number. Of course, you have to take into place, a lot of them don't ask you to put in their health conditions or their height and weight to that effect, right? So you run the quote and you see what is available. You tell your client, hey, this is how much this carrier is offering at a monthly premium of this amount. When you're starting out, I recommend, though, doing a little pre-questionnaire with your clients. So ask them general questions. You can also look online for they call them fact-finding sheets. And those will have like basic or general questions that you can ask your client before running a quote and submitting through an application. So I like to ask, of course, what's their age or date of birth? Do they have any health conditions? If so, are they taking any medications? What are the names of the medications and the dosage? Are they, are they a smoker? Do they use tobacco or nicotine products? I asked them their height and weight, right? And so I asked some of the more important type of questions that the carriers will want to know, or they use to approve or decline or classify the client. That's what I kind of do, just to kind of get an idea of, okay, well, based on this information, what you're telling me, I could probably submit a quote for this through this carrier, right? And do it like that. So start out with 2 to 3 carriers. As you go along, you'll find that you'll start to add on more. You'll start to get appointed with more carriers. You don't have to use all of them, but you'll start to find some favorable ones as well that you like to use. Every carrier pays differently in commission. So that's why there's no set starting point when it comes to commissions. But you can make up to 90%, 85 to 90% in commission, starting out, at least within my team. Okay. I know that there's some carriers or not carriers, but agencies out there that they start a lot lower than that. And I feel like if you're doing all the work and this is your business, why not be able to get the most bang for your buck? That's all I'm saying. So start out with that, work your way up. There are some carriers that you contract with them, and under them, they have like even more carriers that you can work with, which is an awesome thing, because now you can say, well, I can use their system, run a quote, and their system will bring me every carrier that meets these particular criteria or filters for the client. So there are carriers like that or agencies rather, that's like that, where you contract with them and they happen to be contracted with over 100 plus carriers. So you don't have to go to each one necessarily. You just run the quote, you pick the one that fits your client, and then you appoint with that carrier as well. So you can do something like that, right? And so the last thing I want to touch on is adding non-resident license. Now here's where your money begins to start really growing. and it's an awesome thing. So as I mentioned in the introduction of this video, is that I'm based out of Georgia. That's my home resident state, right? My resident state for my license. However, I am also licensed in other states. Currently, at the time of this video, I'm licensed in New York, Texas, Florida, and Michigan. Okay. And so I have four they call them non-resident licenses because obviously you don't live there. You're not a resident of that state. What these non-resident licenses allow you to do, and you can get you can do the whole U.S. states if you want to. You can even get the Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico if you choose to as well. It's very expensive to get those two non-resident licenses just because they're not directly connected within the U.S., but you can get it. Okay, so what the non-resident license allows you to do is expand your market. It allows you to expand that territory. You can now offer your carrier's products, if they sell in those states, their products, which means that you don't have to just stick to your home resident state. You can now sell, for me, I can sell a New York product. I can sell Texas. I can sell Florida and Michigan if I choose to, or whatever other non-resident states I'll be adding on, right? And yes, you do have to pay for the license, but you do not have to retest for these non-resident license. Your resident license basically opens the door for you to be able to get the other license added on, right? And so every 2 years, you do have to pay a renewal fee for all of them, including your non-resident license, but you do not have to retest for your non-resident license. And I think most states now do not require you to do another fingerprinting, because when you first get your when you first get your resident license, and you're applying for the license, you have to do the fingerprint for your background check. So there are some non-resident license that they may require you to get a fingerprint done again, but you don't have to test for it. And then a lot of them don't require you to do the fingerprinting, right? And so once you add on your non-resident license, some states consider it to be active once you are appointed through a carrier with that non-resident license. So what ends up happening is, because your non-resident license are attached to your main resident license or a lot of carriers will see that in their system and automatically add it on for you. So you don't have to notify them like, hey, I have my New York or California non-resident license. Can you add it on to my profile so that I'm able to sell your products in these states? Some of them will automatically do it. So you just got to keep on top of that. And I mean, it's an exciting thing, especially when you are bringing people into your downline who would like to join this industry, whether they just want to recruit people into the industry, or they just want to also sell life insurance and accidental and fixed and index annuity products. They can do either or, whatever they choose to, as long as they're licensed. So what happens is, if you live here in Georgia, let's say, but you have someone in New York that would like to join your company or join it within your team, they can do that. And you have to make sure that you do have your non-resident license, so that when they sell a product, you are getting commission off of that. Every time they sell, you're their upline, so you get commission also off of, you get the difference a lot of times between your commission line, where your commission level is and where their commission level is. And so you'll get that difference in that, and you're able to do that as long as you are licensed as well. And some of them require that you also be appointed with the same carriers as the people in your downline. So you can kind of guide them to say, okay, here's the carriers you should get appointed with first, right? And then as time goes along, just make sure that your downline lets you know if they get appointed with a carrier that you may not already be appointed with. So you want to make sure that you get appointed with all the carriers that your team has. So this way, if they sell a product through that carrier, you get the commission for it. And that just expands your money even more. I mean, honestly, within the next year and a half, I probably won't even have to sell any insurance products. My downline is continually growing, and I enjoy being able to, mentor people as they're beginning in the industry. This is your own business. I'm not your boss. You run it how you want to run it. Basically, all I'm doing is just giving you some tips and recommendations or some suggestions of what I've experienced and gone through thus far since I've been in this industry. And so these new agent tips is just kind of the tip of the iceberg of what I do, and what I guess educate my people who may be interested in starting a business or starting within this industry, right? I also, with one of the companies that I am currently contracted with, for the first quarter of this year, I host a weekly community meeting, and I'm one of two co-leaders of they have different communities of their LGBTQ community, right? And they have one for professional, full-time professionals. They have one for people who are part-time people that they're doing this business part-time, but they still may have a full-time job. And then the full-time professional people are those who basically they do this business full-time. Then you have people who are over the age of 50. You have people who are parents and caregivers. It's just basically, I consider it a virtual social event. If you're interested in attending my community meeting, it's every Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Figure out the time according to your time zone. If you're interested in joining, you can always send me an email at c.for.courtney.scott, SCOTT, at scottfinancialandcare.com. Excuse me, that's scottfinancialcare.com. It's Scott Financial and Care, but it's without the and in it. I'm a little tongue-tied, obviously. But yes, c.scott at scottfinancialcare.com. You can also contact me via the website, www.scottfinancialcare.com. You can also contact me, 800-365-4299. And that's basically the end of episode 3. Join me next week for episode 4. We'll get into basically the type of clients you may run into, or leads, potential prospects, and a couple other things as well. Very powerful information. I'm not sure how long I'm going to be doing this type of series. It's just a mini series. I've learned, like I said, I've learned a lot of things along the way, and I wanted to share that with people who are thinking about starting a business and they don't know what kind of business, or they're just starting out as an agent, insurance agent. And they may, or you may be an agent, you're not happy where you're with the company you're with right now, whatever the case may be. So you just need a change of scenery or something like that, and you want to make more money in your commissions, and you don't want to be non-captive as well, or you do want to be a non-captive agent. Excuse me, I'm a little tongue-tied today. So that's the end. Thank you for joining me. You have a good evening. Bye.